Football's back, folks. Florida State football's back. And you know what? We're back here at the Voice of College Football covering FSU. Georgitis right next to me. James Coleman coming up here pretty soon. And we figured we might as well do this right during the 2025 season. So we hope you can join us. And here's the deal. Florida State football is back. And again, Seminoles Live here at the Voice of College Football is back. George, James, and myself, and maybe a few others, but the core three here are going to get together on a decision every weekend, and we'll let you know early in the week when we can show up to talk Florida State football with you. You know the drill. Leave those comments and questions there in the chat. Join George at the Renegade Report. George, how's it going? It's been a while.
Man, the summer, we got about 1 month left of summer. It's hot out over here in Pensacola, Florida. I'm sure it is on your side of the state as well over there in Daytona. So nice little cool breeze this morning, which was really, really nice. We haven't been doing quite as much stuff over at the Renegade Report because I started a new job that's kind of out in the heat. But excited for the season to be here and get to doing a lot more content. And what a better way to get it kicked off than right here at the Voice of College Football. Get you guys up to 6,000, 7,000, maybe 8,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Make sure you're liked and subscribed. And like Mark said, we'll figure it out. We'll be here one day a week. We haven't got a day nailed down, but we'll try to be with y'all at least one day every week.
So, George, before we dive into the depth chart during game week, you know, Florida State obviously is coming off this disastrous season. They should be much better. Alabama, bit of a subpar season for them, but they are getting national championship consideration. Do you like this game punching you right in the face in week one, or would you love the warm-up against a group of 5 before you take on Bama?
Hey, man, you, as always, with your interviews, you do a great job. I mean, you kind of just touched right on the sore spot, my gut, man. That's what's so tough about this. Any other year, give me that. I want LSU week 1. I want Bama week 1 because you lose, that's never going to really get held against you. If you go undefeated against the rest of the schedule or lose another and win the ACC, you're going to be all right. You know, losing to Bama isn't going to kill you, knock you out of the playoff. But in this particular year, where you're coming off of 2-10, you've got 16 portal guys starting for you again. A lot of them guys that just got here. And then you also have a couple guys like Roydell Williams who are in their second year, but still a ton of transfers. I mean, I think it's 53 players that have been added since the season ended between 20-some-odd portal guys, 20-some-odd high school guys, and 5 or 6 walk-ons. It's tough. I would not like to – I wish this game was not there. And I wish somehow we could have had the 2 cupcakes before. That's not how scheduling works. They want the big game the first week of the season. I get it. But, yeah, it's tough because what really worries me about this is if you go out there and you just get decimated, you know, something terrible happens. Tommy gets hurt, a la DeAndre Francois in 2017, which sent that team spiraling. I mean, it could be over before it ever started, and the Mike Norvell hot seat stuff could be right there, you know, off the break. So, yeah, it's not ideal given the situation. But the flip side of that is high risk, high reward, baby. When you're number 7 playing number 3 Alabama, a win or loss there, while it would be great, it's not going to completely derail or change what you're doing. But when you're like number 40 or something, I imagine we probably are if you looked at the entire coaches poll and the AP poll. Hey, I mean, you win that game, all of a sudden, boom, you're skyrocketed. You're probably in the top 25 in week 2 with 2 cupcakes on deck. Next thing you know, after being 2-10 the year before, you're 3-0. I think headed to Virginia or something. I'm not too good on the schedule. It might not be. I'll have to look at the schedule.
You're on it.
Still,
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty nice. So it's high risk, high reward, man. It's not what I would have prescribed. Just particularly, we'll probably get into this a little bit more, how much this team relies upon the quarterback and how much the quarterback as a leader and somebody who can make your receivers better, cover up for an offensive line who, while statistically and on paper, you know, we'll talk about it more later as we get through the depth chart, looks like a major improvement over last year. All 5 guys have done well at the P4 level at places where, you know, Vanderbilt, the left tackle you got from Vanderbilt, he beat Bama last year. So he knows what it takes to go out there and beat Alabama. The right tackle, Micah Pettis from Ole Miss, played in a ton of big games over there, won a bunch of games. So, yeah, your center, Pettibone from Wake Forest, one of the best centers in the nation statistically. Doesn't give up sacks, can run block pretty good. You basically got one tackle who pass blocks really, really well. That's a specialty. Another guy who run blocks really well and moves people. Micah Pettis moves people at offensive line like nobody Florida State has had in a while. So, yeah, just what scares me is Castellanos because, I feel like he's the straw that stirs the drink. He could add so much. Like, I think on a plus or minus 2 or 3 games at the minimum, just him being on the field versus a true freshman or a redshirt sophomore that, a true freshman came in and took snaps over. When you get a new OC, it's tough. So, yeah, I hate it being week 1 because I've got nightmares of teams quitting and guys doing this and doing that. But it seems like this coaching staff is pushing up all the right buttons. We can talk about when we get the depth chart, we're going to talk about a walk-on who made the 2 deep that everybody's up in arms about. But I'm here for it. Last year, they let guys loaf, have bad attitudes, whatever the case may be, and they stayed. The depth chart was the same week to week to week. Everybody was talking about free the youngins, but some of the youngins didn't have the best attitudes either. So I really like what Tony White's done. I like what Gus Malzahn's done, and I'm excited, man. But yeah, it's tough week 1. But which Alabama do you get? Do you get the Alabama that lost to Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, or do you get the one that beat Georgia? It's the unknown going into this game, Mark, is unlike anything I've ever experienced in college football. The wide variance of what you're going to get out of Florida State and even Alabama to an extent, because they've got all the players. But we've seen Texas A&M have all the players, Florida State have all the players, and that didn't matter. It didn't turn into SEC and ACC championships at those points in those programs. So, Nick Saban ain't there to save him, is what Tommy Castellanos said, and I'm with it. That was one part of his comment that kind of made me go, oh, that was tough. But hey, it's true. Our guy had some success out of Washington. He had a 6-year senior, Michael Penix, I believe. That was, the kind of the straw that stirred the drink over there. He's got a brand new quarterback, a guy who's a 3rd or 4th year guy, I think.
Yep.
But still, not much action in college football with anything on the line. And Ty Simpson, there was a lot of people talking about Keelan Russell could come in and start as a true freshman. So I don't think those conversations happen at all if you're that excited about the other guy. So a lot of variance on both ends, man. I would rather have the cupcakes ahead of it, but at the end of the day, hey, what better way to start college football? At least I will say this. Last year, we went to Dublin and played a Georgia Tech team who everybody thought stunk. The team thought they were going to go down there and whip their butts, and that was going to be it. Turns out you lose, on a field goal going away to end the game, and the whole team, it spiraled from there. Guys quit, whatever the case may be. So against Alabama, 24-21, I think there's zero chance of that happening. I think as much as you hate moral victories, if you can lose by a field goal to Bama in week 1, that would be a moral victory as far as maybe keeping the locker room together. What's going on, James?
Big game stepping in. How's it going, James? Can't hear you yet. We're hearing something, but not really hearing you. I don't know if you have to step out and come back in. I don't know if you can hear me.
No. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we got you.
Yep, we can hear you now.
Good, got it.
James, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Just left my son's flag football game. He threw his first touchdown. It was awesome.
Threw his first touchdown.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
So, fullbacks can throw too, I guess. So that's what we're
all right.
What we're looking at.
Now, we moving a quarterback or what? I thought we was bringing the fullback position back with Trey.
I thought that as well, but hey, whatever's gonna make me not have to pay for college.
That's right.
Regardless of what it looked like, James, whether it was, you paint a picture for us. Did he split like the safety and the corner? Did he just did he have 3 guys draped all over him and he just Drilled it in there.
Basically, the wide receiver ran a go, went inside of the DB, had a couple steps, threw a bomb, dropped back, just chunked it right
With
at the back of his
anticipation.
drop. It was beautiful. Yep, anticipation.
Nice.
Did he throw it before the guy was beat, or was it one of those? All right, he's wide open.
It was pretty wide open, but like they beat the heck out of this team. It wasn't close. It was I feel bad. Well, I'm glad I was on the right side of I was the right parent. So
well, hopefully none of the youngins are watching this right now that lost. We ain't beating down on you. If you are, sorry about that, but we got to celebrate Trey's touchdown. We got to do that.
James, I'm going to offer up the same question to you. And again, remind anyone that's joining the chat that we're pulling this back together with James and George. We handed this off to a couple guys that were not up to the challenge. Let's put it that way. So I figured we got to talk some Florida State football here live every week on the Voice of College Football. So I appreciate James. I appreciate George stepping in. And again, we're going to get together every weekend to decide when we can show up for you every week. So that's why it's important to subscribe. Hit that bell for the notifications to make sure you know when we're going live. So before we start to dive through this depth chart, big game against Bama week 1, especially considering what happened last year. Would you rather see a cupcake or two to get things working a little bit before, you got no choice at this point. It is Bama on Saturday, but how does this hit you in regards to this being a week 1 game?
Bama going up again. Bama coming with a very clean team like that, return a lot in the key positions. I would probably want to see a cupcake just to see what we had. That the cupcake part though, it does give you just as much as it gives you, it takes away from you, right? It gives them film to be able to see what your new pieces look like. Because right now we have we have a little bit of not instability, but we have a little bit of surprise. We know what Tony White's defense looks like at Nebraska. We don't know what Tony White's defense looks like with these pieces. We know what Gus Malzahn's offense looked like at UCF. We don't know what Gus Malzahn's offense looks like with these pieces. You can't go back and watch. You can go back and watch FSU's old film. You could go watch BC, but it's basically making a good coordinator have to stay up and watch a lot of different things that they would normally watch. So I kind of like that. But I also like the fact that we're getting a quarterback from Bama that's never played. We're getting a right guard right now who's in concussion protocol. We're getting a running back that's, I think he, if I remember correctly, I forgot what he hurt, but he's injured. So you've got some things that kind of go into your favor at Florida State that you would like. I also look at what Mike Norvell has been able to do in kickoff games. Unless it's Georgia Tech, I really have no fear because Notre Dame, the team again that he opened up with was a team that went 3-6 the previous year, took Notre Dame into overtime, gave them everything that they wanted. He probably should have won that game, honestly, with the quarterback that they only had one leg and one that everybody acted like babies cried when he threw the football. But then you had Brian Kelly 2 years in a row, and Brian Kelly's supposed to be, again, Brian Kelly 3 years in a row. You're thinking that you're thinking that LSU, with the talent that they recruited, bringing in Brian Kelly, being a coach that could get them over the edge, you would think that those would be horrendous tests. I remember LSU was what people talked about potentially a national champion. Hell, that LSU team had 3 first-rounders on it. A quarterback and 2 wide receivers, had a good running back, had another good wide receiver that got in trouble. It was a tons of offensive talent on that LSU team that they neutralized in New Orleans and then blew out in Orlando. So not saying those are the same things as Alabama, because Dober has some things that scare me. Dober year 2 at Indiana, year 2 at Washington, completely different teams. In fact, in Washington year 2, when he went to the college football playoff, if I remember correctly. Coming down to Alabama, what are they going to do? He's got his old OC back, but I'm cautiously optimistic with Florida State and what they have going on. So, the season 2, a 2-10 season that happened. No need to keep harping on that. That those players have come and gone, and hopefully this new iteration of Florida State is going to be much better.
Falconer TRX, Miami beat Castellanos. BC, why is FSU different? Falconer TRX, we love you. I don't know if I can really follow that.
There's been so many guys to portal to Florida State that have lost at other places. That's tough work. You put the money out to get it read, but that's I don't know.
I don't remember Miami playing Boston College with Castellanos.
He's saying that Miami beat Tommy last year, so what's going to be different at Florida State? Miami's just going to beat them again. That's what they're trying to say.
I mean, Florida State beat the year before that when Florida State's 13-1 season. They beat BC with Castellanos, and then BC beat them the previous year. That's the beautiful thing about New Year's. New Year, the new year brings new things. I think a different system. And I think last year they tried to make him a pro style quarterback. I think that's one of the biggest things that were his weakness. I think right now, if you're able to move the pocket with him, and I said this on the Miami show that you had me come on a couple of weeks ago, and my dear friend Cam forgets that these videos are canonized. So we could go back and see years of data of them telling us that Jordan Travis was basically a running back that throws the ball. Now, I'll say TC is more true of that than Jordan Travis is. But I made a statement and he looked at me like I grew a third eye. I'm like, brother, the man is faster than Jordan Travis. That's the truth. When he decides to run, it's gonna be a threat. The key is that he's got to be able to establish confidence, and Florida State has to come out and they truly have to throw the first punch. If they're not throwing the first punch, and they're just getting punched, then it's going to be a long night. But if Florida State can throw the first punch and be able to maintain the pace of the game, you could see a very entertaining football game. And that's what I'm really going for. More than anything right now is just, will these guys come out and play ball and not fold? I mean, last year's team folded to some teams that, quite frankly, they should have never folded to. Like there's no way you can. Florida State's never lost to Duke. I think we had one close game to Duke in the entire iteration of that series, and it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm all for it. I think the game. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm expecting to see a really good football game.
All right, George. Do you want to start running through the step chart? Do you want me to set you up along the offensive line and we'll start there?
Hey, it'd be a good place as any to start, I reckon.
So you mentioned right there, I got 129 starts in college football coming back on this offensive line, not necessarily at Florida State, obviously. And this line is averaging 322 pounds. And you mentioned the center, Pettibone, with 32 starts at Wake in 4 years, and Micah Pettis coming in from Ole Miss, where he was a 3-year starter. He's got 29 starts.
Yeah, and we'll precipice this with saying, like, last year, Phil Stowe had Florida State's offensive line preseason top 5. We have 1,300 starts coming back, and everything else. So one thing about offensive line, like, you think it's going this way and it goes that way, or we never realized apparently what Jordan Travis did for that offensive line to get him that recognition. But as I mentioned earlier, you've got all the pieces. I mean, everybody knows Gunnar Hansen, Luke Pettibone, Adrian Medley came in, Micah Pettis, 4 guys who have put on film and done what we need them to come in here and do. One beat Bama, starting at left tackle. You can get into the Pro Football Focus numbers and all that. I'm not that big into it. I'm happy to see Richie Leonard back healthy and possibly starting. I thought he was the best offensive lineman we had last year by a mile. It's unfortunate he got injured. But most excited about Lucas Simmons. Like, I really feel like he can do some things out there at right tackle that we just haven't seen at Florida State in a long time, as far as moving bodies and being physical in the run game. I'd say the one that people are probably surprised about is Chavez Thompson as a freshman being number 2 at center. Were you surprised to see that, James? Like, I know people, Chavez, he's short. I think he's like 6'1", 310 pounds or something like that. He's not your prototypical offensive lineman, but for a true freshman to come in and make that 2 deep, I was a bit shocked with that. So
I personally think that people might be making too much of the 2 deep than what it really is. I've got a chance to see some of the practices. I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen some of them, and I didn't. None of these names were noticeable in the practices, and I had to go back to some of the notes that I kept and some of the things that I've seen. But I mean, that doesn't mean they're not good. It just means that I think Mike's done a really good job of making sure nobody's getting a beat on him, pun intended. And now the beat have something to talk about, and they're just a little agitated because they've been left out, and they're not getting the information and the intel that they want. So, but that center that we got, I believe is Chavez Thompson. Is that the young man from Coco? I remember we have an O lineman from Coco that was committed. That was a center that was nasty. I liked it. But outside of that, Florida State is going to be highly reliant on their ones. We're not a huge depth team. We have to our ones have to stay fresh. And okay, so that is the lineman from Coco. If you go back and watch that boy's film, I actually did a piece on our recruiting class. That boy that's a mean SOB, which is something that we haven't really had at line recently. So, but when I'm looking at TC, is TC a top? I personally don't believe you need a top 10 quarterback to win a national championship. Or I'm not saying Florida State is going to win it, but I think you need a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over, and you need a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. I have preached that for years. I think your running backs are just okay until they prove something. I like Randy Pittman. I think Mike Norvell's offense works better with the what was the tight end that we had that came from South Carolina that was a hybrid that played for the Patriots.
Jaheim Bell.
Yeah, Jaheim Bell. I think Mike's offense works better with the Jaheim Bell, and Randy Pittman is a Jaheim Bell type of tight end. Along with Amari Williams, Landon Thomas, and you got Biscuit coming in that blocks pretty well, but also is able to catch the ball. Wide receivers, everything I'm seeing makes sense. That's on par with what was there. Deuce, Squirrel, and Boggs. Boggs being again a freshman that's done very well. It's crazy of how well he's done. So I think that's an offense that can win you a lot of games.
I'm sorry, man. I was just saying, people acting like we was talking crazy when we were having conversations about Boggs coming in and having a good chance to play early. And like when Destin Hill slipped out and he slipped in, it just seemed like all the production, 2,000 yards, multiple years back to back. Like, man, to see him first time since 2019 be on the first line of the depth chart. I know the depth chart don't mean that much, but like you said, Boggs, Squirrel, and Deuce have pretty much been the three.
Boggs is ready to plug and play guy. He won Mr. Florida as a junior. Probably should have won it again last year. Very good wide receiver. Very competitive. Pushes it. I like him. I think he's a good ball player. Along with some other guys that are still there too as well. Like again, that's only the 2 deep in some of these positions. Maybe not this game, but like moving on in the season, you're going to get to that 3rd and 4th guy. Like wide receiver, that's a what they're showing right now is an 11 personnel set. I mean, there's going to be 10 personnel. There's going to be all kinds of different things that you're going to put up there that will probably warrant you having to play go a little bit deeper in the wide receiver.
Boydell Williams as the number 1 guy. I'm curious, James, how you feel about him being a former running back, fullback, obviously, but a tailback, whatever you want to say. You ran the football. My opinion, last year, like obviously we didn't have the line, like there weren't a ton of holes to to him, and I'd have to go look at the actual advanced data or whatever, but it sure seemed like he went down with first contact a lot. And I know some of the turnovers are just, there weren't that many. It's just in key moments, so they stick out to you. But I mean, that says a lot about him if he's number one, or does it just say less about the rest of the running back room? It feels like one of those things where a guy like, Chroma could take over after a few weeks. It's just kind of like he's the guy with the most experience at this point in time.
I think Roydell and Sawchuk are probably your two most prepared running backs now. From what I saw, Roydell, there's a thing to be said for a guy who might not be as talented as everybody else, but knows the playbook, knows where to be at, knows how to pass block. Like, it's consistency will get you in there. But I think, again, I don't know where people are, what people are expecting or what their thoughts are. Uzman was a big get, right? Like, everybody thought that was a huge get from us from Georgia. Like, I don't understand why it's such a shock that a freshman that talented would be able to creep into the two deep. I mean, that makes sense. Sawchuk is a guy that you saw the spring and you decided that you needed to bring somebody else back in. That makes sense. When you're looking at Roydell's there, but the person that I think we really need, that we missed more than anything else, was Lucas. Lucas is a change of back guy. Change of pace back. He's explosive. He runs like a badass little kid. Like, I don't know, Mark, you've been long removed from this. I feel like I've been long removed too, but I got a lot of nieces and nephews and little people are around me. And like, when they break out, like, you can't believe how fast they are. And they all run like this. And that's what Jalen runs like. It is just like getting him in space, like, really will make stuff happen. And I think the biggest thing that a lot of people don't understand in the Mike Norvell offense is the court is, and I'm gonna use a former Rivals coach that said this, and Dan Mullen. It's not about can the quarterback run or not. Is the quarterback willing to run? And we just didn't have a quarterback willing to run. And when I look at the other piece of it, when we put my guy Luke in there and then we put Brocky in there, they were just running from fear. Like, it wasn't like they didn't have enough to process. So I think when you have TC with the zone, with the read, and always carrying out his fake, you have to respect it, or he'll go 60 on you in a heartbeat. Because once he gets to that second level, man, he's moving, he's running.
Man, I was talking about that earlier before you jumped on, when we were just kind of talking about that question that Mark asked at the beginning about whether you'd rather have a cupcake. That was like the one big thing I would say I was worried about, is flashbacks to 2017. Obviously, you can't play scared, but to lose Tommy, that would be terrible. Because, I mean, what do you think the win-loss difference is, the plus or minus, if Tommy goes down or you remove Tommy from the roster? Because I was like, it's got to be at least 3. Like,
I think Tommy gets you Tommy has you as an 8-9 win team. If you don't have him, then you're probably a 500 ball club, and that's the truth. But like, injuries happen. I do believe Sperry is pretty good, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the East Tennessee State kid. He's a lot better than what people want to give him credit for. He was at East Tennessee State, so like, it wasn't like he was playing with the best talent. But when if you actually go out and you look at them, he looks the part, and I think that's what I'm saying a lot. But what I tell people is this, and we have a DC, and basically most of his staff from Nebraska came with him, outside of a DB coach who everybody considers as one of the best in Patrick Surtain. And yeah, basically, and then we kept I can't think of my guy's name, our linebacker. We kept the linebacker for him, JP. Nebraska's defense was a top 15 defense last year overall. Gus Malzahn brought most of the pieces of his offensive staff from UCF. He brought them to Florida State. They were if they weren't top 15, they were a top 20 offense. without having the tight end coach and a running back coach, which I would joke and say the running back coach is probably the most useless position in football. And I'm a running backs coach, so that's why I joke and say that. But you brought his O-line coach, his wide receiver, and Gus coached the quarterbacks. If Florida State, and they all say they have better pieces at Florida State than they had at their respective places. If Florida State has a top 20 offense and a top 15 defense, Florida State will probably be not in the college football playoff, but will be a team that is talked about. Now, that's a big wish, but at the same breath, I just believe they're going to be much improved with guys who have a little bit more to gain from Florida State being good.
Yeah, Chris Frazier stopping by from Spear Addicts. Chris, what's going on?
I was wondering who was down there.
How's it going, gentlemen?
What's going on?
Hey, Chris.
I don't know if y'all can hear me or not. I'm traveling. I don't know how good my service is.
Yeah, it's a bit rough. It's a bit rough. Thanks for checking in.
Yeah, we'll let him get a little.
I will pay attention to the service. If it gets better, I'll talk.
All right.
Shit,
thanks, man.
Clear now. Well, anyways, James brought up the defense, and you kind of hit on one thing about how like we need our ones. That's kind of the thought that goes in my head too. It's like the ones all look pretty attractive, and I could see it being a top 25 this or a top 25 that. Once you start getting into the depth a little bit, it's a little rough. But one position that I would say versus last year that we did get a lot better, like I feel a lot better about a linebacker. Having Elijah Herring, Omar Graham back as a guy who's returning, and then Stephon Thompson they brought back. Juice, 1 year older. Blake, 1 year older. What do you think about the linebackers? And like you said, I know you got to see a little bit of camp here and there.
I'm a Juice Crier. I'm a Crier fan. I think he just had to come into his own. AJ Cottrell, being a local boy, shout out to him. He's got some experience. Omar Graham Jr., I think he played when I played. I mean, at this point, he's been there it just seems to be at Florida State for forever. You have more guys that kind of know what to do and can play ball, and you just have to really but you have to really just trust that they're going to be able to bring different kind of stunts and different kind of speed. But the biggest piece in all of that is what's James Williams and Jaden Jones going to give you? Jason Jenkins and Darrell Jackson, will they be what is necessary to be able to confuse, disrupt, and slow down offensive lines? Because when you run the odd front, you only run that so that you can make offensive line think. Like they think they're blocking one person, then somebody leaves, and now there's another guy there. So that's kind of where I'm going with that more than anything else. But you need a. I went viral with the Chroma and Blake Nicholson video. I tell people sometimes everybody can get got. Anybody can get it at any given point. But I think we'll be fine. Again, just your ones have to win. That's like we're not at the Florida State of old where you're too deep and you're going to be rotating people in and out no matter who the opponent is. Outside of the DB room. The DB room, we've done a lot of good stuff. Some of these guys are body types, and man, I'm gonna tell you this. Yeah, that's all his name. Jerry Wilson, man, listen, that boy is worth everything. Worth everything that he got. And then KJ Kirkland definitely looks like he's been doing some squats, man. So like I like those guys, and the defense, we'll see how they do. I think actually, believe it or not, I think the defense is going to need a little bit more support than the offense in the beginning. We can't afford to go 3-and-outs, and I still am and always will be an Adam Fuller apologist. It is very difficult to make adjustments when you're losing the time of possession as bad as they've been losing, as bad as they were losing. So, like, the offense going 3 and out while you're trying to adjust after being on the field for 6 minutes, it's very difficult to be able to do those different things. But I believe, again, Tony White has the thing where they're able to confuse people because there's not a lot of film of him at Florida State.
We'll give Chris another shot here. Let's see if we can get Chris. Chris, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if y'all can hear me or not, but I'm here.
It's a little rough, but we can hear you. If you've got a quick comment before we dive back into the step chart, just about the Bama opener and what you're hoping to see.
I'm hoping to see us kick their asses. What I'm hoping to see. Now I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I do think that Florida State has the best opportunity at being the first game of the year. Ty Simpson being questionable about what he can pull off. I think TC's the more experienced quarterback. Most of the time in the NFL, you go with the most experienced quarterback if he's a good one. And then I also think that a lot of things have been changed. I think that the offense has been changed, the defense has been changed. I see that coaches like Gus Malzahn and Tony White seem to be excited about what their guys are doing, and I don't think that that's premature. They're not like the coaching staff before, and I'm not trying to knock them. I'm just telling the truth. Our coaching staff before told us they were the strongest, the fastest, the most talented team we had. They didn't show up. I don't think Gus Malzahn and Tony White look at football teams the same way. You're either doing your job or you're not. And I believe that this team is showing to be doing its job. I don't think that it's all bluff. I think that Florida State believes they have a shot in this game and every game that they play this year. So the only thing I look forward to is Florida State shocking the world and winning the football game, because I think this is the perfect time to catch Bama with question marks, because this is their first game too. So hopefully Gus Malzahn's better at putting a brand new team together than Bama is with losing folks. A quarterback that's got less than 50 snaps in his career in college. I mean, it's just there's a lot of things that add up against them too, and they're coming to our house. This ain't a neutral site. So I think Florida State has a good opportunity.
Well, obviously, it's a completely different lifetime with different rosters and different programs. But Gus Malzahn, for a while there, had the magic touch against Bama, so he knows something. All right, George, where did you want to take us next on the depth chart?
Well, James was talking about defensive back when we went to Chris. I couldn't agree more. I love looking at what we've got on the first lines. Ashland Barker is a safety I've been high on, especially last year. He was one of the players that really kept his head down and gave full effort anytime you saw him on the field. I really like that. You've got Shaheem Brown trying to work his way back, a guy with experience. Edwin Joseph is somebody who in the previous defense played that slot DB, like nickel DB. He was like one of my favorite young players. KJ Kirkland really took a step forward last year. Like James said, Jerry Wilson has like kind of dominated the camp on defense. He's been the one guy that is just every week you're hearing something about him. Seeing a pick six he got. I'd say my two surprises, not so much a surprise to Jabril Walls. I think that's more a surprise to other people. He's a kid from Pensacola that I've had high expectations for, just a freak athlete, got all the size. Excited to see him on the top line and what he can do. But the other one is a guy, Earl Little Jr., another one of these guys who, like Roydell Williams in his second year from Alabama, didn't quite work out, not enough time, forcing the bad situations, whatever you want to say last year. But to see him on the first line at Rover, and again, a new defense, maybe a spot that helps, is more in his wheelhouse. Curious what, James, if you saw anything there, what you think about Earl Little Jr. And Jabril Rawls jumping up there to be the kind of surprise starters on the depth chart.
I mean, Jabril has been showing flashes for the last 3 off seasons. So the problem is you just had guys that were really, really good. Like now it's his turn. And he's doing well. I think him and the other corner, they're long corners, physical, fast, can do things very, very well that fit our system. While we are trying to shift to more of a cover 3 look, it's still pretty good guys. Shamar Arno coming in as a freshman, being able to understand the system a little bit more. Quindarius Jones is one that I really liked a little bit more than Charles Lester, in my opinion. Not that Charles Lester has done anything bad. I just I just like Quindarius Jones and what I saw with them. But when you brought up Earl Little. Earl Little being able to cover the nickel guy in the three wide receiver look, or be able to give you a little bit more assurance in tackling. I actually do like that. Or you can move him to more of a true safety, because Ashlyn Barker, Shaheem Brown, Edwin Joseph, and KJ Kirkland are all safeties that while they can cover, are pretty sure tacklers. I mean, Shy was one of the leading tacklers at one point. And now he's on the 2 deep, and which I really like. And I mean, not for him, because I do like Shaheem, but like that just means the competition has raised. And with the new staff, they're coming in and they're not accepting mediocrity. And that goes back to what Mike Norvell preached in the beginning when they were struggling and going through the stuff. And everybody was mad at me saying that I hated Mike Norvell. And I just said, no, I've interviewed Mike Norvell. I go based off of what I don't judge people based upon what other people have told me about that person. I judge them based upon our conversations and if they've ever lived to it. And one of my favorite things is the standard is the standard, and the standard is over everything. People think that's my made-up quote, but that quote came from Mike Norvell. So that's why I enjoyed it. I that's what I'm looking at right now, is a Mike Norvell that is scrambling to make sure he's able to live up to the standard.
Man, everybody's freaking out about the Donnie Hybrid on the depth chart on the 2 deep. Like, you guys all completely forget about Javian Elliott, a dude who was a walk-on that made the depth chart, started for Florida State, and then went and played 3-4 years in the NFL, started for a while for the Buccaneers. I think all that's hilarious, especially when you look at the depth at other positions. Like you said, to have Lester and Joseph be your second and third corners. Like, guys, there's a ton of talent at DB. I think, to James's point, Hybert being up there either means he's another Javian Elliott and he's going to be a beast for us, or they're, trying to get somebody else's attention to maybe get on there next week. So, yeah, I agree with all your takes on all that. I'm real excited about DB. I don't think Patrick Surtain is kind of the one thing, like, it's not even to question. We'll see. There's still time. It's the second or third year, but I question some of the recruiting decisions. But at the same time, I'm like, he's got a proven track record. Nobody knows what a DB is supposed to do: coaching, playing it, doing everything. So I'm going to give Surtain his leeway on all that stuff for now.
Hussey was a 4-star. It was a highly heralded flip from Penn State that we had. And he couldn't beat out KJ Kirkland. He couldn't do all these other different things. Sometimes in practice, guys perform well, and you honor that. If he gets into a game and he's not doing well, then shoot, he would probably not be there. Like, I mean, here's the thing. The walk-ons are better than most humans. Like, to be on a Power 4 roster, you have to be a really, really good. You have to be a good athlete. Now, does that mean you're as good? Like, you're in the 2%? Does that mean you're the 1% of the 2%? No, it doesn't mean that. But like this, I'm really, here's the truth. If we're in a situation and Earl Little's not on that field, I'm a little nervous, regardless of who you put there. You could have put a recruit that we've really been looking into. Your ones are your ones for a reason, and your twos are your twos for a reason. And right now, our ones put us up there with, I would say, have us as a top 30 team. The problem with that is that your twos are needed and necessary in order to keep you there, because you're going to have to rotate players. The body gets banged up. People get tired. So you have to, and not every team, there's no team, well, now it's 120, I think, but nobody's 85. Like, it used to be 85. Nobody's 85 deep. What makes Georgia and Bama traditionally better than everybody else is that Georgia and Bama are probably 55. Their 55 to 60 is better than everybody else's. We don't have 55 to 60 that's better than Bama. So we need our 30. I'll say we need our 35 guys that we're going to have to rely on to be pretty freaking good.
Yeah, I guess I had a little audio. Is it good now there, Mark? Am I not hissing anymore?
So you're okay, but it's just a pretty strong hiss. So when you're talking, that's cool.
Background,
But
George.
I'll just mute you when James or I am talking.
Chin, well, I'll back out and try to get it fixed a little bit there. But you hit on the nail on the head. That's like something that it's like if your ones can stay in there, you can do it. So my question before I back out would be, James, like, how many points do you have to score on offense, or how many minutes do you have to hold the ball to be able to get over Alabama, get through 4 quarters of this thing? Because that's when you're playing somebody of that stature, like, you're going to eventually have to swap D linemen, not offensive linemen so much. Hopefully they can stay in there, but that's kind of the one thing that worries me. Even if everything goes great and you're winning the game and you got a lead going into the 4th quarter, hey, we've been that team, Florida State, that did that. It didn't matter what the score was. Last 10 minutes of the 4th quarter, you're going to be wore down because we got better players, and that's when it's going to shine. So we're kind of on the other side of that this go around.
You got to have a 50-50 TOP. I mean, if you can get over that, then you're going to be fine. But it doesn't need to be 60-40 or 75-25. That's unrealistic with Alabama. They're a good ball club. But if you're, but for example, I'm looking at what they have the line for. I mean, for the scoring, the total points. If that's what it comes out, if 52 points are scored in that game, and what is that? What would that make it? That's a 28. That's like 28-25 type ball game right there. 20 or something around that. That means Florida State went out there and competed, and they have a shot to win. You have to keep the game in check. Like it's you just can't go out there and just like we're not gonna. I hate Georgia Tech had the perfect strategy against Florida State and Miami. And what they did was they muddy the game up, they slow it down, they play great, they attack the run, and they're going to try to force you to beat them with their arms. Now, what they do have is some very, very good young dynamic wide receivers, but one in which we saw have a really good game against Georgia, and another game too. But he was young. But Ryan Williams, while dynamic, is not Jeremiah Smith. Now, if we were going against Jeremiah Smith, I'm just like, hey man, get your electrolytes, get you some drip drop, some liquid IV, like get everything that you need because we're gonna be in for it. But again, not taking anything away from Ryan Williams, very good wide receiver. We've seen very good wide receivers before. Our guys can run with those guys. Is what we can't do is get out there and get abused on the ground. Florida State has to be able to do that, but a 50-50 TOP, like it can't be what, like, again, when you look at Boston College, when you look at Georgia Tech, Boston, I remember being at the Boston College game thinking, what in the hell did I just witness? The entire, if I remember correctly, almost the entire second quarter, Florida State did not have the football. That is just like, that can't happen. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to play an entire football game on defense if you've been on the field for I think it was like 12 minutes out of 15. Like, that's not feasible. So you just don't let that happen, and just don't keep going 3 and out. And you'll see yourself actually being like, oh, we might be able to play with these guys. But they got to believe. Luckily, we get to talk in the safeties of our own homes, and we get to watch the game in the comfort of, in the comfort of the Champions Club or press box. Everybody else those guys got to be there on the field. And if Florida State culture hasn't changed to the point of where I refuse to go get bullied by another man for 60 minutes, then, hey, I love Mike Norvell. He treats my sons phenomenally. I like everybody over there, but like, God bless, they got to figure it out.
Thanks.
Got George here from the Renegade Report. Of course, check out the work there. George has been slapped around by life a little bit in employment and trying to get his deal back together with the Renegade Report. So, George, maybe you can let us know in future weeks what you got planned there, unless you're ready to tell us what you hope to get accomplished this season.
We're going to do a show Friday to preview the game, do a final preview Friday, probably around 8 Eastern. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do a post-game show or do something on Sundays, but definitely have a couple shows every week. Every Friday to preview the game, and something thereafter to review it. Like to get the roast going again. I got to get with Jen and Tiny Hat and get everybody on the same schedule there. But yeah, me and Jen both had job changes, and Tiny Hat had some health stuff going on. So it was a good time for a break. And then when it was time for the break to end, it's been a little bit hard to get it going. But we're right there. We appreciate everybody, and yeah, real excited for this game. I think James has got some stuff he needs to plug because, as he does, puts on the best tailgate in the game, and yeah, this one's going to be bonkers. So whenever
James,
he's ready, he can plug all that.
Yep. James, before we kick it to you, just want to let everyone know the three of us are showing up here and possibly fourth with Chris Frazier. So I sent out the word to these three. Also, Logan Robinson, of course, does a tremendous job from Knoll Game Day, and hopefully Logan can join us as well. But we want to get everyone back together to talk Florida State football because it is our aim on this channel to do that since we started it. And other people have not been able to deliver for us. So I thought I'll get back on here and get some Florida State brains together. So, James, we appreciate you. We just want to let everyone know we won't necessarily be here on Tuesday nights. It depends. We're going to get together every weekend to determine the best time. So just make sure you're locked in with those notifications. James, what's going on with you?
Man, just got done with my 6th annual book bag drive. Appreciate you, Mark, and everybody for the support. Went well. About 3,500 bags distributed between Orlando, Tallahassee, and Jacksonville, and I'm about to send. I just sent 250 up to Atlanta. I'm going to give some more away as well. But the way we fuel these book bag drives is through our tailgates. So we partnered with a purpose. We will be having the Dope Boys reunion tailgate on the top of lot 19. From this kicks off, we'll be there setting up early, but hopefully the food will be there by 1. But we're officially opening the tailgate from 12:10, and we'll have a projector at the tailgate for people to be able to watch and be able to enjoy the game from there. If you want to know, it's you can go there. It's also my pinned tweet on @BigGameJames_36. It's all you can eat, all you can drink. We'll have cigars in the building, and we'll also have a lot of other FSU notable celebrities as well as former players. So come check it out. $65. Kids are I think kids are $20 because they don't drink. And again, like I said, we love it. Proceeds go towards the MFTK Foundation, which does community programs as well as heavy mentoring now through our 7-on-7. We got some cats. Boy, I can't wait till this next 7-on-7 season starts. And we'll have some really, really good elite athletes out there wearing the moniker. But I appreciate all of that stuff. But just check us out. Also, tomorrow, we'll be giving away a pair of tickets to the FSU Alabama game on Big Games BS around 9 a.m. You have to watch the show. You have to be able to go. You have to watch the show. You have to be a subscriber on the YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber on the YouTube channel, you watching on Twitter, you're not going to be able to get the tickets, but we'll do a drawing at the end of the show. Them tickets going for like $500 in some sections. So like you are getting, all you have to do is listen. And if you listen to the show the Wednesday before every FSU game, I give away a pair of tickets. So very few channels, very few people are doing those kind of things. And also for members, we have our Pigskin Pick'em, college football pick'em, where you can win $50 each week. We have our fantasy football thing. It's all kinds of, and then once we get to 7,000, we give away money. So it's a lot of stuff that we do on our channel to have a good time. And I can't wait to continue to talk FSU ball. Hopefully we won't go 2-10 and it won't be miserable, Mark. I think it's you, Mark, because most of the years I've done stuff with you, Florida State hasn't been very good. So I don't know if it's your fault or anything, but like it's all good.
Well, I was going to flip it on that and say, since we didn't do a show last season and I wasn't around for 2-10, maybe it was because I went away that they went 2-10. I'm thinking of it that way.
We'll go with that.
Okay, let's go that route. No doubt, everyone. And again, we'll do Florida State Live each and every week. Don't know when, but you subscribe to the channel, you hit that bell for the notifications, you know when we go live, and we'll show up each week with these two and more. James, thanks for doing this. I know you got a zillion things going on, so thanks for stepping up to the plate. I know I just rushed these guys like the last, just like 2 days ago and said, hey, it's week 1, let's go. Some guys have let me down. We're not doing a Florida State live show, so can we do it again? And these guys pulled through for me immediately. So, James, thank you. George, thank you.
Absolutely. James always comes through in the clutch, man. If you hit him up and he sees it, he's going to hit you back, and chances are he's going to be on your show or helping you out with whatever you got. I can say that about James throughout the year. Or if you just need some life advice, he has that going on sometimes too.
That's always good too. The smiles that I see right now, I hope they are there at about 7 p.m. on Saturday night.
I damn sure hope so, because those post-game shows last year were murder, Mark. They were murder. It was James talking about all this stuff is canonized. I haven't got over the trauma to go rewatch those, but wow, you want to talk about an hour of just sitting there seething, like finding something to say? Yeah. We don't want to do that this year. Let's have some, even if you lose, hopefully there's some good things to talk about in there amongst the game. It was like week 3 and there was nothing good left to talk about last year.
All right, folks, and we're going to send you off with a way that you might make a dime or two, courtesy me. So we will see you back here next week. College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click Join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.